Welcome back. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is out of the ICU and recovering at Walter Reed Medical Center tonight, but we still don't know what he's recovering from and why it took days to find out he was even there. The Pentagon says 70-year-old Austin went into the ICU on New Year's Day after experiencing severe pain. It followed an undisclosed medical procedure he had on December 22nd. The White House wasn't made aware of Austin's emergency visit to the hospital for 3 days, and it took a day longer for Congress and the public to find out. Now, top Republican and Democratic members of the House Armed Services Committee, among others, are calling for answers. NewsNation's Joe Khalil is live for us tonight. Joe, it's amazing that it took days for the White House, for the president, to know that his own Secretary of Defense was in the ICU.
I mean, that's really what we're hearing, too. Elizabeth from Capitol Hill, I can tell you, there are a lot of different opinions, but I think the one thing everyone agrees on here, left and right, is this is just bizarre that the Secretary of Defense went through this whole ordeal, and not only people at the Pentagon who filled in during his absence and did some of the work that he normally does, but the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of State, the President of the United States, nobody knew that he had checked himself in, not just to the hospital, but to the ICU, or that he had, apparently not been able to do the work for at least a couple of days. So all of it is bizarre. I've been talking to a number of Republicans today who say because of that failure to disclose that information, they feel like Lloyd Austin should either resign or be fired. Now, again, we know that's not going to happen, but there are other people, including Democrats, many of them, who say, we're not going that far, but we think something here needs to change and that this should never happen again. In fact, I want to point to Jack Reed's statement. He's the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, a Democrat, and he says, I remain concerned the vital chain of command and notification procedures were not followed while the secretary was under medical care. He's taking responsibility for the situation, but this was a serious incident. There needs to be transparency and accountability from the department. The lack of disclosure must never happen again. So that's one end of the spectrum from Democrats. There's another Democrat I talked to, Congressman John Garamendi from California, who defended Austin, said, yes, this was the wrong situation, but he says, in an emergency, things would have been okay. And here's what he said further.
To waste our time holding a hearing on Austin's situation would be a dereliction of our duties and our responsibilities to fund the government.
So there's a different perspective, Elizabeth, and he's saying that because we now know that it's entirely possible you could have the Senate or the House committees actually look into this, maybe structure some new rules so that in the future some member of the cabinet would not be able to go to the hospital, check themselves in without having to disclose that information to the rest of the cabinet or the White House or something like that. So we may seriously see some action here.
Yeah, well, we know that President Biden is standing by him, but I'm still curious as to what the explanation is. I just don't get it. And I think a lot of people don't get it about just the failure to tell anybody that, the ICU that's a serious thing. And if you're there for severe pain, you're probably on painkillers. Joe Khalil, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more on this story in the coming days. Thanks so much. Yeah. Meanwhile, thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.